You know, I did the video last night with Lou, and I've been talking a lot about Don Sweeney for the last couple of weeks, and really since the trade deadline. And Sweeney takes some flack, and I used to give him a lot. Much like Benning in Vancouver, I used to give him a ton. And over the last couple of years, he's actually kind of won me over a little bit, and I wanted to take a look at how and what's changed. When he took over the Bruins, he inherited Marchand, Pasternak, the current kid that's played one game, Ryan Donato, was drafted before he got here. Krejci, Heinen, Krug, Grzelcyk, Miller, McQuaid, Rask, Bergeron, Chara, and Bjork. The Bruins were seen as a team that was over the hill. Their core was done. And there was talk openly about maybe it's time for a rebuild. So in comes Don Sweeney, who doesn't seem to see it that way. His first deal is he trades Soderberg to Colorado for a 6th-round pick because Soderberg wanted too much money. So just get something for him because he's going to walk as a free agent anyways. The Soderberg contract for Colorado, I think, has been an example of how not everybody deserves all the money they get. But, you know, Soderberg is useful as a third-line center in some situations, so I'm not going to throw a lot at him. Then he trades Dougie Hamilton to Calgary for a first and 2 seconds. He then traded Milan Lucic to LA for Martin Jones, Colin Miller, and a first. He then traded Jones to San Jose for Corrali and a 2016 first-round pick. So some big moves right off the bat, and it's like, okay, so Soderberg, Hamilton, Lucic are gone. The Bruins are in a rebuild. That was the thought at the time. At the 2015 draft, he drafts Zboril, DeBrusk, and Senyshyn in the first round. And Zboril didn't really surprise people, but DeBrusk and Senyshyn did. Senyshyn was projected to go in the second or maybe even third round. DeBrusk was projected to go late in the second round, or first round. Barzal and Besser, of course, are guys he passed on. Besser was not known at the time to be a future star, so that's kind of forgivable. Barzal was known to be a star player. Carlo and Forsback at Carlson were drafted in the second round, and to me that kind of makes up for it. Kind of, sort of. 2016, he drafts McAvoy in the first round. He drafts Trent Frederick in the first round as well. So it's kind of nice to have 2 first-round picks and to have 2 that probably are going to stick around. McAvoy for sure and Frederick. We'll see how he does in the American League, and next year he'll probably get a shot at an NHL job if there's room. He also drafted Lindgren, who's been moved since then, and Koppanen, who, depending on the projection, either is going to make it the NHL or not. But either way, part of what Don Sweeney's done that the Bruins desperately needed is he's made the team younger, he's made the team faster, and he's done it without a full rebuild. They made the playoffs last year. They're going to make the playoffs this year, obviously. And it's kind of fantastic what he's done. And, of course, 2017 he drafted Vakanainen and Studnicka with the first 2 draft picks. Neither of them have played thus far. But it shows that he'll draft from anywhere. You look at where he drafts: North American, NCAA, or CHL, European. He doesn't seem to have a preference. He seems to be one of those I will draft the best guy available kind of GMs. Further with the trades, Jimmy Hayes was acquired for Riley Smith and Mark Savard. Riley Smith had to go because Florida made that demand if they were going to take on Mark Savard's contract and that cap hit. Part of the problem for Boston was they had a salary cap issue. Dougie Hamilton wanted too much money. Lucic was going to want too much money, so they had to move money out. Riley Smith hadn't signed that rich contract yet, but Smith as well was going to be in for a raise. Lee Stempniak's picked up for a 4th-round pick in 2016 and a 2nd-round pick in 2017 from New Jersey. I will be the first to admit that trade looks kind of suspicious. I don't know that I'd give up two draft picks for Lee Stempniak. John Michael Lyles is picked up from Carolina for Camara. 2016 3rd-rounder and a 2017 5th-rounder. And again, I don't know how much Lyles helped Boston while he was in the Bruins lineup. And it may seem like it's a bit of an overpayment to give up 3 pieces, but Camara's likely never going to be in the NHL. and a third and a fifth round pick are not huge reaches, and they don't really hurt the team when you're picking up solid depth at the draft anyways. Then they traded a 2018 sixth round pick to Winnipeg for Drew Stafford. So no harm, no foul there. Stafford had middling results for Boston and moved on, and I have no problem with Stafford in general. This year's draft, this year's been a bit of a change. Nick Holden was picked up from the Rangers for Rob O'Gara and a 2018 third round pick. Yet to see exactly how this is going to help or hurt the Bruins in the playoffs, but they picked up depth on defense, and they need that because they remember that last year in the playoffs they had so many injuries on the blue line they had to throw Charlie McAvoy to the Wolves and hope he'd do well, and he did very well. They also acquired a third round pick this year for Frankie Vetrano. Vetrano's been solid for Florida. I don't think they're complaining. And getting a draft pick back for a guy who's likely not going to be in your lineup at this time next year is a good move. Rick Nash was picked up from the Rangers for Spooner, Bolesky, Lindgren, a first round pick, and a seventh round pick. And there's a lot of talk about how many pieces the Bruins gave up for Rick Nash, who's a rental. I think it's worth the risk, even though Nash is hurt right now. For me, Nash is worth the risk. So for me, and people talk about Spooner. Spooner's got 13 points in 11 games for the Rangers. I understand he's been solid, but he wasn't going to get that ice time in Boston, and he wasn't going to get that opportunity. And again, it's about space. Who do you have space for? How many guys do you have space for? And really, Boston's a pretty stacked lineup right now. So they could afford to lose Spooner and get rid of Bolesky's contract, which was the reason that Spooner's thrown in. It's like, okay, well, we'll give you Spooner if you take Bolesky's contract off our hands. Lindgren, of course, decent young prospect. We'll see how he does in the Rangers system. A first-round pick for Boston this year. It's likely in the mid-20s. So I don't know that in a solid draft that may hurt. The last move he made was picking up Tommy Wingels for a conditional fifth-round pick. It becomes a fourth-round pick if Boston advances in the playoffs or if they re-sign Wingels in the offseason. So players he's picked up. Riley Nash is a free agent. He's picked up, of course, Rick Nash in a trade. Tim Schaller is a free agent. Sean Corrali in a trade. Tommy Wingels in a trade. Noel Acciari is an NCAA free agent. Brian Gionta is a free agent. Carlo in the draft. Holden in a trade. Hudobin is a free agent. And at the start of the year, there was controversy about them deciding to keep Hudobin over Subban. Even though Subban's played well for Vegas, I still think that was the right move because Hudobin's put up very good numbers for Boston this year. Backus is a free agent. And, of course, Backus, I think, got a little bit too much term and a little bit too much money for what he provides at this point in his career. But, this is just sort of one of those things that I won't agree with every move he makes. I'm not going to defend every move he makes. DeBrusk in the draft. Postma is a free agent, which, of course, there were certain publications that kind of lost it in the offseason because Boston only made the one move, which was picking up Paul Postma as a free agent. And, oh, look what they did to fix their problems. They picked up Postma. He's not that great. No, he's an extra guy. And they didn't break the bank to get him. And Charlie McAvoy, of course, was added via the draft. Overall, and this is why I threw this video together, because Sweeney's pretty quick. He's only got 3 years' worth of moves to analyze. Overall, Sweeney's done a very good job, again, getting the team young. Yes, he's had mistakes at the draft table. Other teams had those mistakes as well. If I'd been drafting for the Canucks at 23, I would have drafted Konechny ahead of Besser. So I would be on the hot seat too. So it's okay. Boston is right now the number 2 team in the Atlantic as I'm shooting this video, and they're really, really solid. So for me, Don Sweeney gets absolutely a pass, and he's undone a lot of what was done with Chiarelli. Chiarelli left. There was a lot of unwieldy contracts and some iffy moves that have been made. And I'm not going to, say anything really negative about Chiarelli here. I think if he'd stayed in Boston, I think they'd probably be in the playoffs right now too. But this is a really, really solid team that the Bruins have right now, and Don Sweeney definitely deserves a lot of credit because about half of the current roster has come in since he took over in May of 2015. That's not a long time, and I'm a fan of most of the moves. Would I want Riley Smith back? Probably. Would I want that cap hit? Probably not. So again, guys he got rid of that he got rid of for what seemed like under market value, or maybe he was getting rid of the wrong guys. For the most part, the results have borne out for him that he's been right for the most part. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And again, this was just a quick hit. A GM that doesn't have a huge resume, but he's already built an impressive one. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.